All right, guys, coming at you today, July 30th, 2023, live stream for the next hour. Thank you guys for taking the time to be here. If you're watching it live or on the replay, we truly appreciate you just being a part of the channel. It's just never overlooked because we appreciate the support, just the connections and the community. So I'm One Eye Bri, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about the Walking Dead universe and plus some other shows and movies that we've been watching. And like I said, it's the end of July 2023. There's nothing on for Walking Dead until September. We got some pretty big news this month with Comic-Con, but the next show we're going to see is the Daryl Dixon show, which will be September 10th. 2023, which is a Sunday, I believe. Let me check. That 10th. So the 7th, I'm guessing, is AMC Plus Early Access on that Thursday. Also on the 10th is a new season of Ride with Norman Reedus, which I don't know if you've ever seen that show. If you like Norman Reedus, if you like some of the celebrities that he has on, I believe he's had Keanu Reeves on before, and in the trailer he has Keanu Reeves and a couple other people on there, and it's usually one celebrity at a time, and they're driving around different places, and it's just cool to see, Norman being Norman. And like every time you see Norman, I feel like Norman is Daryl, Daryl is Norman, in a fictional universe of The Walking Dead. But it's just kind of cool to see Norman talking to different celebrities. And he had Ryan Hurst on and Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Andrew Lincoln on previous seasons. So if you ever get a chance to watch previous seasons, again, it depends on the guest for a lot of people, but it's just pretty cool as well. So thank you, Big Tree, Tim, John, Lindsay, Donnie T, Jeannie, Negan1, and everyone else that's joining now currently. Appreciate you taking the time, like I said before. Like I said, there's no Walking Dead on until September. So September 10th, from there on to, into October, and then we'll have Fear the Walking Dead from October into November, and then that's it until next year, 2024. So a lot of stuff, because the actor's strike is still going on, the writer's strike is still going on, and I don't really know when that's going to be done. Like, I really don't know. And I saw a recent interview with Bryan Cranston on the Dan Patrick Show, and I love Bryan Cranston. I think he's an awesome actor and just a cool guy. And he was talking about he joined the actor's strike, and he went there and picketed in New York City. He was in Times Square and went over here and went to, ABC and the Today Show, whatever, and they were out front and they were picketing and stuff. And there's a lot of celebrities that are. I know Kim Dickens was seen there, and a bunch of people were there as well in LA or New York or whatever. And Bryan Cranston was bringing up good points about the writer's strike and the actor's strike and how AI is affecting things and whatever, and it's pushing back, them to actually finish projects or start projects in there. And they are allowing some productions to continue if it's like an independent thing, or you have to file for an exemption for the strike, and they're allowing some productions to continue. So I don't think it's going to be major productions like the Daryl show in France, or, From, that films in Nova Scotia, or any other shows like that, because they're studio stuff. It's the smaller production companies and everything like that are independent or whatever is what it is. But the writer's strike is going to affect everybody for later this year, but most likely into next year, because the productions now are for filming for next year. And I know that the Dead City Season 2, the word is that they wanted to start filming in the fall. So in 2 days, it's August. And then a month, it's September. And I believe they were filming in September or October. I can't remember when Dead City actually filmed last year, but I think it was around that time, September and October they started. And if they plan to do that, I don't know if the writer's strike is still going to be going, if the actor's strike is still going to be going. I would assume they're both going to go at the same time. I would assume the writer's strike and the actor's strike will probably be continuing until they both, get it, whatever they need to be accomplished, and, to end the strike. But that's going to affect things greatly next year. How will it affect the ones who live, the Michonne and Rick show, the Rick and Michonne show? I don't know, because that's already done, filmed in post-production. They don't have to have writers for that. They don't have to have actors for that, but they need to have the studios doing post-production with the visual effects, the editing, the sound, the noises, the music, the effects on there as well. So I don't know if that's going to push back, because there are some movies that are actually being pushed back to next year that were already completed, like Craven for Sony, and a couple other movies I know got pushed back until 2024. And it's definitely something that I'm not concerned about, because it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it, right? There's enough stuff out there, enough shows out there to watch. So shows that I just started watching were on Peacock is Twisted Metal. My wife and I watched the first 2 episodes. All 10 episodes are up on Peacock right now. And it's a different show. It's okay. Like, it's not great. It's not terrible. It's decent. I like Anthony Mackie. He's the same guy. So, or he's the funny guy. I like him in a lot of things he's in. I'm pretty much in all the parts that he's been in. I've liked him. And it's a different kind of show. I played the video game growing up, so there's some nostalgia for the video game with Twisted Metal. Then we started, I posted on YouTube that my wife and I started Ozark. I told you previously that we watched the first episode of Ozark months ago. Like, I want to say last year or whatever. And then we didn't watch it again. And there really was a lull in shows because Walking Dead stuff's done. It was between Twisted Metal and the Mayans just finished. And so there's a little differences there. And so we were like, let's give it a try again. And we're about into the 4th. We're still in season 1. I think we're in the 4th or 5th episode. And it's good. Like, I like Jason Bateman. I like, I don't know the actress, his wife in the show. To me, it feels like Breaking Bad. Like, it's trying to be Breaking Bad, but like not with meth, with money laundering. And I'm fine with it. That's not a knock on it. I love Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad is one of the best. Breaking Bad is easily one of my top 10 favorite TV shows of all times. So if Ozark is half as good as Breaking Bad, it's going to be awesome. And it's already interesting. I like to see where it's going with Jason Bateman and the Langerers or whatever, that family that's there, and his wife and kids, and the guy they're living with who's on oxygen, and the money laundering stuff and the businesses that they're buying and stuff. It's already interesting to me. It's really good. And the fact that it was filmed in Georgia, and there's already been some cast members from the Walking Dead universe on it, or actors from the Walking Dead universe in it, it's pretty cool too. So so we're watching Ozark a little bit. We're watching Twisted Metal. I think tomorrow or August 1st, it's one of the two. I would say tomorrow at the best, is worst case, is Dawn of the Dead, the 2004 movie, is leaving Netflix. So it's probably up to July, so you probably have to tomorrow. And I like to go through Max and Netflix and whatever. And I like to watch like what's leaving. So I want to catch it before, and it usually just goes to a different service like Showtime or whatever, or Hulu and stuff. So I try to watch it. And Dawn of the Dead is, I still like Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead from 2004 with Ving Rhames, and I believe it was done by James Gunn and Zack Snyder. It's one of the only things I know they're both involved with. There's might been other movies and stuff, but I know they're definitely involved with that movie. And I still enjoy it. I think it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, zombie movie, is Dawn of the Dead from 2004. And, I like Phil Dunphy from Modern Family's in it, Ty Burrell. And Tim asks, Q&A, Ozark, did you recognize the FBI agent that was on the Dead? Yeah, he was from the Commonwealth. He was the guy that went to Riverbend with Aaron and Father Gabriel. And Aaron shot him, and he fell off the roof, and he died. I immediately recognized him. I immediately recognized the guy who runs, I don't even know how to say this without being expletive, the bar. We'll just say the bar, right? The guy who owns that bar. I believe he was the guy from Terminus that was going to kill the people in the lineup by the like Glenn and whatever. He was about to hit Glenn with the bat. I believe it's the same guy. I could be wrong, but I think it's the same guy. And then also, we just saw the episode where we see the lady who plays the Dama in Dead City. So, yep, there she is. And it's always cool when you see that. I always like I always like when you see the people from the Walking Dead universe, like especially if it's old. You know, like, hey, that's so and so. Hey, that's so and so. You know, it's always cool too. So. John Water says, did you see the new Saw X trailer? It came out today. John, to be honest with you, I have not seen any of the Saw movies. I've seen parts of Saw when they're in the bathroom. They have to decide what to do and blah, blah, blah. Fun fact, in the first Saw movie in the bathroom where the guy's handcuffed to the bar or the pole and the bathroom, everything there too, it's the same set from The Walking Dead that Maggie and Carol are in with the Saviors, with Paula, that I forget her name. She's there. She's definitely a thing that's same set. Pretty cool stuff. John, my guy, my wrestling guy. So SummerSlam is coming out this Saturday. And also, hopefully, if you watch Heels on Starz, Heels Season 2 just started on Friday. So we started Ozark, Twisted Metal, and Heels were 3 shows that we're watching again, too. Michael Singer says, have you seen Shaun of the Dead? Yeah, I definitely have. My good friend is named Sean. He spells it just like that, Sean. He dressed up as Shaun from the Dead for one Halloween. It was pretty cool, and he had the paddle and everything, too. Shaun of the Dead is a comedy. It's kind of like a spoof on the zombie apocalypse, but it still has its good moments on there, too, and I still enjoy it as well. What's up, Mahmoud? Anything else? Dawn of the Dead stuff, people like that. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of like horror movies. I jokingly call them horrible decision movies because everybody in horror movies makes the dumbest decisions ever. Like, we're in a horror movie, so we know, and I guess the people in the movie don't know they're in a horror movie, but they go into a house and they don't call anybody, or they split up, or they do this, or they just go check out a noise without a weapon, or so, you know, like, come on, like, you're entering a house, just go outside and get a flash, or something. I don't know, like, there's just countless timeless dumb decisions in horror movies. It's just so bad, and that's part of it. You know, some of it's kind of laughable, but I was like, oh man, that's pretty kind of funny as well. So let's talk about what else we got. So nothing really news about The Ones Who Live. Dead City is done. So did you guys like Dead City? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was done well? Did you have low expectations? Did it exceed expectations? Was it, great, bad, terrible? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Yeah, I don't want to hear your thoughts for sure. Wilson, I talked to Wilson yesterday on Facebook. He says, I asked Pollyanna yesterday about Rick's show. She said it's 6 episodes, Comic-Con Manchester. So Wilson showed me a picture. He went to a convention, and he got an awesome cast photo. And I believe, Wilson, you got to tell everybody who's in the cast photo, and he got an autograph from Princess. So I believe, if I recall the cast photo, I think Mercer's in it, Lydia's in it, Jadis is in it, Ezekiel's in it. He said that Maggie and Rosita were supposed to be there, but they dropped out because of last minute cancellation. I saw on Facebook or on Instagram that Lydia was hanging out with Jadis while Cassidy was hanging out with Pollyanna, and they were in Ireland. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then Wilson says about the convention and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I miss the conventions. I miss Walker Stalker. I miss meeting you guys there, and I missed meeting the cast and being a part of it on there too. So there's a 90s convention coming up in Tampa in September, and my wife is a huge 90210 fan, and there's going to be the cast of 90210 minus Luke Perry, of course, because he died, which sucks because my wife loved Luke Perry, and he's not going to be there, obviously. But it would have been cool for him to be. I like Luke Perry, too. and he'd probably be my favorite person to meet from the cast, actually. And then Saved by the Bell is going to be there. Boy Meets World cast is going to be there. Family Matters is going to be there. Like, so many people from the 90s shows. I can't remember if Full House is going to be there. And it's like a 90s con, it's called. 90s con for 90s convention. And it's in September, and it's coming to Tampa. So I want to see how much the prices are for the tickets and then also for the photo ops. So we're thinking about going to that one in September, which would be pretty cool to see. And I wouldn't mind paying for I wouldn't mind meeting more people from Saved by the Bell. And they have Zach, AC Slater, and Jesse are going to be there. But no Kelly, no Lisa, no Screech because he's passed away. And no one else from that, but it's Zach, AC, and Jesse will be there. So it should be pretty cool. So Wilson says Tara, Mercer. So Tara, Mercer, Lydia, Ezekiel, Dwight, Princess, and Jadis. So that's pretty good. That's a seven-person cast photo, and it should have been Maggie and Rosita, which would have been 9, which is pretty cool. I know my cast photo, my dad and we got the cast photo for it. It's like loaded up. I want to say there's like 12 people in it, and it's really cool. And it's definitely something if you ever get a chance to do it. And I know a lot of those people like Tara, Ezekiel, and Princess, and Lydia and stuff. They like to do conventions. I know Eugene, Aaron, Father Gabriel, they still like to do conventions. So if you ever get a chance to meet them, it might be far less lines now too. So you might be able to get a chance and have a good conversation with them as well too. So Wilson said the $9 cast was $400 photo. So 400, I guess, what is that? Euros? Is that what that thing is? So I don't know how much that is in the United States or money, like US dollar, but about 500. Thank you for answering that. That's not bad. I mean, so a lot of times too, if it's a cast photo, you can have like a couple people in there. Sometimes they allow like 1 to 2 or 4, 2 or 3, 4 people in it. So if you have a couple people and you split the cost or whatever, it's awesome. And it's an awesome experience, like I've always liked to have things now as I get older, to have experiences, to go on vacations, like a cruise, like a trip, like my dad wants to go to Niagara Falls. And I don't care about Niagara Falls like at all. But I know my dad wants to go because I've asked him. My dad's retired now. He's in his 70s. His birthday's coming up in October. And I've asked him, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What are some things you want to do in life before you can't? Right? Because, well, one, you're debilitated, you're weaker, you're older, your body's giving out on you, and then eventually you pass out. What's up, Brian? So I'm like, I want to have activities and experiences with my dad so I can look back and be like, because I remember we went to the Orlando Walker Stalker, and he was in my cast photo. My dad and I got a cast photo, and it was awesome. And then we went to Atlanta, awesome time. And there's times we look back on them, and there's times where I'm going to look back on it too. And he wants to go to Niagara Falls, so next year we're probably going to go there for him and do whatever you do in Niagara Falls. I don't even know. So, but we're looking at when to go and when's the best time to go. And I think it may be like May or so is the best time too. Brian asked, why is Dead City in the future? Could Rick and Michonne already be back? So great question. So Brian, why is it in the future? To make an older Herschel. It's older Herschel is why there's a time jump. So that's the main reason I see it too. So should Michonne and Rick already be back? I think so. I don't know where they would have come back to. If Maggie is at the Bricks and Negan is wherever Negan was at the motel in New Jersey, New York, New Babylon, or whatever that is, the Northeast. If Rick and Michonne are in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania and they go down to Virginia or Ohio, they went south when Maggie and Negan were up north. So they wouldn't meet each other. I don't know at this point, would Maggie and Negan ever run into somebody else? I would hope so and I would think so. But Maggie starting a new community I don't think Rick and Michonne will show up there. And also, did Rick and or Michonne die at this stage of the Walking Dead universe? Because Rick went away so many years ago, Michonne went away, and then we don't know what the time frame is. So the timeline is a little jumpy too. So I think the main reason they had a time jump for all that in the future is because they have an older Herschel. Zenith Q&A. Who would you want as your partner in the Walker Apocalypse, Maggie or Rosita? I don't know. I mean, both are great. Both are badasses. I think both would help out. Both are beautiful. Both are capable. I don't know. I personally like Maggie myself, but Rosita is a great second choice. So I'm fine with either of those for sure. Let me see. Michael asks, are you excited for Loki season 2 in October? Yes and no. I thought Loki was pretty good. I think that the Marvel shows on Disney Plus have been okay. Some of it, like I liked What If. I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like I like Anthony Mackie. So, and I like Sebastian Stan. WandaVision was terrible. What If was good. Secret Invasion was pretty weak. Loki was pretty good. Hawkeye was good. But I like Loki, and I like, where that's going to go with it. I don't know. We'll have to see what it's going to be happening for the future of that stuff. But I think Loki can stand on its own. But can it, though? Majority of those shows have been... It's just kind of overkill right now. And I don't know where the Marvel stuff is going. If there's anything worth... Like, I don't know what the next future stuff of Marvel is that's captivating enough. Because we lost some major players in that universe with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. And I just don't know where the story... Because I didn't even care that much about... Thor wasn't that good and stuff was there too. But I don't know. Yeah, the time jumps are tough. When you start playing with time and jumping around too much in any kind of universe, it's kind of tough. John asks, Q&A, do you think Jey Uso would dethrone Roman Reigns? No, he's not. I don't think it's going to happen at all. I don't know who's going to beat Roman, and I don't like Roman Reigns at all. I think he's pretty uninteresting. He's a great wrestler, physicality-wise, and doing this. His personality is weak. He needs other people to help him. And some wrestlers do, but the great ones don't. The best wrestlers in the history of wrestling, in my opinion, didn't need any help from anyone else. They could do it on their own, and when they teamed up with someone or had a feud with someone else, it just helped them. Roman is being carried by the Usos and Heyman and all the other people like that. So I don't know. There's just something about him wrestling I'm not a big fan. Lindsay says, you get drenched. That's what you do at Niagara Falls. Great. So we better go in like the summer or when it's warmer out, because if we're going to get wet. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I know something my dad wants to do. So, because I try to call my dad every day or every couple days, and then I try to keep in touch with them, because at some point I won't be able to, it's just a fact, and it's a shame, but, try to do it when we can. Edward Tulia, what type of weapon would you like to use in a zombie apocalypse? Katana. Katana is my weapon of choice. So when I think, because I'm writing I'm not writing. I'm editing my next book, book 19, which will be titled Reset for Fight for Us. And when I'm writing the character of Ryan and Sean and Phil and John and Lauren and Fran and all these characters, I'm writing for them. And I try to picture them too. And like, as time goes by in the zombie apocalypse, hopefully we would get better equipped. And my characters in the zombie apocalypse are more equipped for the zombie apocalypse than, like, it's really annoying in shows time and time again where they spend too much time on it, where they're like, oh, what do we have to do? What are these things? I don't know. Let me check you out. Oh, this person's really wounded. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this person's coming at me and they're biting my neck. Oh, my goodness. Like, it's all these crazy things. Oh, shoot them in the head. Shoot them this, do that. All you got to do is kill the brain. All this stuff. It takes like so many pages or this and that. In my story, I tried to come across as the people that are in it grew up with the comics, the shows, the movies, all this stuff with it. So they knew about the zombie apocalypse. They were kind of expecting it to happen or wondering if it will happen and, just being prepared for it. So And I like to think of it as like you should have a short range weapon, a long range weapon, and a medium range weapon. So I think knives, I think swords, I think spears, I think rifles and handguns. And I think you have to have that because what if your gun jams? What if your blade chips? What if your rifle runs that you don't have enough ammo for it? You got to have a backup for your backup for your backup for your other backup. And the other thing is just know how to get away and, just stay alive. And I think that's how I would write it too. Zenith Q&A, Brian, could you give use of a classic lance from the Commonwealth? Could you give us a classic lance from the Commonwealth? I don't know what you mean by that, Zenith. A classic lance. Jeannie says, my weapon of choice in a ZA is the same one in life, my big old brain. Well, that's good. I don't know if your weapon is considered a brain or your brain is considered a weapon. I think it's just like you can't kill somebody with your brain or kill a walker or a zombie with your brain, but you can learn how to, I don't know. Jonathan Wilder, Q&A, do you think walker zombies will ever learn to talk? No. I don't think we want to see that. I don't think. There's been a lot of variant talk, and I think we're going to see variants in the Daryl Dixon show. I like the idea of that coming there because, one, the post-credit scene, France, World Beyond, this, that, it would help the Daryl show, and it would make sense to see him again there too. So, Diana Q&A, Brian, do you think we'll see Maggie, Negan, and Pearlie get together to take down the Dama? I think so. I mean, the Dama's not going to win, right? Like every person that's been a bad person or a villain or whatever goes against our group loses, right? They may take out some people from our group or they may have some victories. They may win the battle, but they don't win the war. Negan is part of our group now. The Dama is the villain. The Croat, I guess he's the middle ground. I don't know. But Armstrong, I think Armstrong. So Armstrong, I think, is part of the group now, especially with the new Babylon Marshals. That lady came across as, I took it as, threatening Armstrong and his wife and family and kids and everything. And was like, oh, we took care of them while you were gone. Tell me the story again, and this time tell me about the methane. Tell me about this and do this. Basically, if you don't do what we say and you don't help us, we're going to hurt you. And we know how to hurt you with your family. So it's going to come back about Armstrong lying about killing Negan. Because he blatantly says it. I saw him, I had my gun, and I shot him. And I killed him. Yeah, yeah. And they cheer. And then they're like, well, no, you're allowed to do that. As a marshal there too, blah, 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 I'm allowed to defend myself. Oh, I understand, no problem. But they have the flyers and the pictures of Negan, so they know what Negan looks like. And they're going to go back to the city where Negan's going to be, and they're going to come across that in there as well. Jack asks, what's your opinion on Victor Strand? I like Victor Strand early on. I didn't like that they made him a villain to go against Morgan. I didn't like the whole thing with the tower. I didn't like that he is basically untouchable. I don't understand what they did with Strand. Because Strand was... I like Strand as, I don't know, like a grimy two-face, all about himself, but also help when he needs to help. Like him and Nick had to work together. And then him and Madison were working together. And everything was like helping people and working together and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, he's like, nah, I'm going to take over the tower. Nah, I'm going to do this. Nah, I'm going to, whatever. I'm going to basically try to kill Morgan. Once you try to do that, you're like, nah, that's not cool. Because Morgan's an OG in the Walking Dead universe. And some people don't like Morgan. But Morgan is a character that is connected with Rick, and he's been all over the place and up and down, and all life is precious and saving people, and his writing's been terrible at times. Like, they didn't know what to do with him. But he's still Morgan, and it's like he's your brother, and he gets on your nerves, but you love him. And if someone else is trying to pick on him or hurt him or be physical with him or be violent with him, I'm going to stand up for my brother, because only I can do that, because he's my brother. Same thing. That's kind of, I feel like Morgan is with the Walking Dead universe. Like, nah, don't try to hurt Morgan. Don't hurt Rick or Daryl or Carol or Maggie or anything like that. Don't try to hurt those people. And even Negan now too. You know, I guess Negan's part of the group now, but that's just kind of how I feel. And Victor's kind of, but now that Morgan went away, and I don't know if we'll see him again. I don't know, Victor. I don't know how I feel about the last 6 episodes of Fear. Will it be good? Will it be fun? Will it be exciting? I don't know. Like, what do you think? Are you excited for Fear the Walking Dead? Are you excited for those episodes? So the spoilers that are going around is that it's confirmed that we're going to see Troy Otto again. And if you know this channel, we've been talking about that for months. And now it's been confirmed from Comic-Con that he's going to be back, and there's going to be this. And there's been a lot of information going around that he is going to be blind in one eye from the hammer that got hit, from Madison hit him. How did he survive the dam? How did he survive this? But he looks to be the final villain of the series, connecting the dots with season 3 and the final 6 episodes. So we'll have to see where it goes. Will we see Alicia again? Did Troy kill Alicia? And if he did kill her, is it off screen? That will never. It's just a lot of things. Like, I don't know. Brian asks, do you also think, like in the comic, Maggie is a bad mother? I think, yeah. I mean, the comic is the comic, and the show is the show, and you know, Herschel's a punk, kind of in both of them. Even though young Herschel wasn't, but Herschel in the comic was a brat punk doing crazy stuff because Maggie had power in the comic. And I don't know, Maggie's a different character there too. I don't think Maggie's a bad mom, but I think, you know, it's tough being a single parent. And it's tough being there too, and you just want to protect them, but it's tough. It's got to be really tough to be a parent. I don't know. I wouldn't consider Maggie as a bad mother. I wouldn't, but some people might. Diana Q&A, Bri, yes, agreed. But what about Herschel's toe? Maggie don't know yet. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. So I was thinking about it too. Like, I was going to make a video, and I still might, about about Negan. He's like, little pig, and then I would have a picture of like Herschel's toe, because he lost his baby toe, like his little piggy. But Maggie, I don't think Maggie knows about the toe, because Herschel got his toe cut off, and then I would think he was wearing shoes, right? Unless he was walking around barefoot, and you would notice that, right? Like, you would notice if your kid was missing a toe. He would be limping a little bit too, I would assume, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that makes Maggie a bad mom if she doesn't notice the toe. But eventually she should, right? And then Maggie's going to get justice for Herschel's toe. And then the line about like Maggie needs to end it. So does Maggie need to save Negan to feel like they're done now? Does Maggie need, because there's always going to be someone that can hurt the Commonwealth, Hilltop, Oceanside, Bricks, you know, wherever. They can always come and hurt Negan, Maggie, Herschel, the people there. So I don't know. It's just something that I don't know about, you know, the future of it. But we'll see where it goes. Well, I'm still interested in it too. Zenith Q&A, do you think Rick will have any sort of romantic interest in his absence? Let's not forget Michonne kissed Ezekiel, and he had a fat cyst at the time too. It was gross. I don't know. Did Ezekiel kiss Michonne, or did Michonne kiss Ezekiel? I don't know. Well, in the comic, I could be wrong, but I think Ezekiel and Michonne get together. So I think that's what they were kind of hinting at. I think Rick and Michonne are going to be together, and they're gonna, you know, Michonne's gonna rescue Rick, and they're gonna be together and have some fun. They haven't seen each other in a while. We'll just say that. But I don't think so. I wouldn't take it as Michonne was getting with other people. since Rick went away. There's the funny GIF or meme or whatever where it shows Lori being with Shane, and it was been like 2 weeks or something, and Lori's already with Shane 2 weeks after after she thinks Rick's gone, and Michonne years later, 5 years later or something, she's still looking for Rick, and she's still wearing his clothes, and just missing Rick and still carrying that for that person. And there was no closure to either way. Like, Lori definitely didn't know if Rick died, and Shane didn't know. So there was still the possibility that Rick survived, and he did. And Michonne was with Rick, and Michonne is out there looking for Rick, and she's doing anything to find Rick, and she loves Rick and cares for Rick. And not to say Lori didn't, but she really didn't give much of an effort like like Michonne is. So there's something to say about that too. So I don't know. I mean, I it's kind of interesting. Like, I wouldn't say like Michonne was cheating on Rick because she kissed Ezekiel. I don't think that was where I was going. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was so long ago now. I don't know if Michonne kissed Ezekiel, or if it was mutual or what. But I guess Ezekiel was shooting his shot, and he tried, and he was like, "Hey, let me try with Michonne here. She's hot. I'm single now. I'm not with Carol, so see how it goes too." So Jack says, "I know you said season 6 is your favorite, but apart from that, what's the best season for you?" So season 6 is the best Walking Dead season. And then I'd probably say season 5. I think season 6, 5, 4, 1. I don't know if I did a top 11 list. But, the worst seasons for me were season 7 and 8. So that would be like my bottom, like 11 and 10 would be 7, and then 8. And then, I don't know, like I think season 2, and then a ranking, I don't know, after that would be how I would go. Like season 2 is okay, but it just kind of jumps around, and it's mostly at the farm, and it's just not as great as the prison stuff. Like the prison series are there as well too. So, but to me, season 6 is like the best. It's just not that too. So, Slizzle2290 says, at the PT channel, I really enjoyed your vid about The Walking Dead women, which I believe is AMC diversity hiring, but you said it in a way for respectful discussion. Well, thank you, Slizzle2290. I was definitely going to bring it up. I talked about this topic last live stream, and I said I wanted to make a video about it, and I did. And I'm not saying that the women in the Walking Dead universe are terrible or overpowered and they shouldn't be leaders. So I don't want that to be the thing. My favorite character is Michonne, and I love a lot of the women in The Walking Dead, and I love Carol and Maggie, and there's a lot of strong women in there. But I've seen a lot of comments in the chat and the comments about there's a lot of women, almost too many women that are leaders now in the Walking Dead universe. And if you notice a pattern, it's kind of been that way. And I don't have any problem of Alpha leading the Whispers. I don't have any problem of Dawn leading the cops there, or Jadis leading there, and whatever, But some people were saying, every time there's a woman, it doesn't make sense. And again, not me, it's what people were saying. And I thought about it being like a good discussion, because it's a fictional show, whatever. And then some people are taking it as like, and I think we need to have discussions like this, because we have to talk about stuff that brings up different opinions. Your opinion, my opinion, it's a discussion. Because if we don't talk about things, and it's a fictional thing, it's not serious, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal that the woman is running the New Babylon Marshals, and the Dama is running this, and Pamela Milton is running this, and Elizabeth Kublik is running the CRM, and Jadis was running these people, and then she had a position of power in the military. And Michonne's a badass, and Carol's a badass, and Deanna was running the Alexandria. It is, but it isn't. Like, to me, and I think a lot of people here were like, if it makes sense, if the characters make sense, good. But if they don't, and the person is just put in a position there just to have a woman in power or like that, and it doesn't fit, then you're like, but that's dumb. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're forcing it to fit. Or even if it's a guy, like, it doesn't have to be that. It just needs to make sense for the writing and for stuff in there too. Don't just do it just to make you think, oh, I need to put this woman here or this guy there or this person there because of this. Because that's the way the world is now. And it's our time. If that's your story, then yes. But don't force things. Like, it just doesn't make sense at well. The other thing some people were saying, which I kind of agree, is don't try to make the woman be intimidating if she's not going to be intimidating. You know, like, don't try to do that. Like, I love Taylor Sheridan writing and shows and some of the movies he's been a part of, like Yellowstone and Tulsa King and 1883 and 1923. And the latest one is Lioness. And that is Zoe Saldana, who's a woman, who was Gamora in, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And she's a badass. And there's a character that they brought in who's supposed to be connected with this in there too. So it fits. Some of the things seem forced, but it fits. Like, there's a lot of badass chicks in the military and the special forces and the special ops, right? There's a lot of badass mixed martial arts fighters, like Amanda Nunes, like Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. There's some badass chicks there. And I don't want it to turn into a men versus this or men versus women type of thing. But it's going to. Parts of the world, the United States, there too, they kind of feel that way. They're going to feel that gender roles, gender bias on there too is a thing. Not with me, because I don't care. I work in physical therapy. There's way more women in physical therapy than men. There's way more women in home health, nursing, managers, their office staff. Way more. Like the previous couple companies I worked for, it was myself and another guy that were the only men there. So it's like, so I have no problem with that too. Michael Singer, Lioness is on Paramount Plus. Basically all of Taylor Sheridan shows are on Paramount Plus. And I haven't. We've seen the first 2 episodes. I haven't seen the 3rd episode yet. Let me see some of the questions. Sorry, I've went on a little tangent there too. Rocky YIT. What show, if any, do you think Morgan comes back in? If he comes back, it makes sense for the Rick and Michonne show. But I don't know if they already filmed the first season. I don't know how they can make that work if they're not going to do a second season. But I would love to see that. Because Fear the Walking Dead is over. Dead City. Why would Morgan go all the way to New York? He could, but I don't know. And then he's definitely not going to go to France, in my opinion. He could, but I think it fits best for the ones who live. Slizzle2290 at the BT channel. If we take the comics out, I believe there's too many women running groups and making men look weak because I believe it's thrown in. 4 groups, Dead City, all women leaders. Your thoughts? Well, Maggie has her own community, and she's kind of she's did the community stuff. She was part of the Herschel's farm, her father's farm, and then she was a big part of the prison. She was a big part of Alexandria. She was a big part of Hilltop. She was a big part of the Bricks now, and she probably would have been a big part of the Commonwealth, but they decided to have her own show, so she started the Brick, and then also the Meridian too. So that's kind of her style for it. The Dama, to me, doesn't make sense because we haven't had enough story of it yet. It's just like she's this drama person who just believes in theater and storytelling and this. Okay, great. But in a zombie apocalypse, if people want what you have, they're going to take it. It's lawless. And the city is lawless. So how did she come about running with all these people in the city? Like, There's times now that there's a lot of violence going on in regular times. Imagine if there's no cops and no military and no like that too. It would be pandemonium. People would just, anarchy would just be going on. People would do that. So how did she come about? The New Babylon Marshals, I think that lady is manipulating people, and she's pretty smart at that too. And I think, like the Black Widow style and using their charm and whatever against them, that's been done a lot of stuff all the time. So I like the idea of that being used, and I think that's where the New Babylon Marshals really could be, where this lady is running things because she's manipulating stuff. And I think stuff, whether you're a guy, a girl, whatever, a man, woman, it doesn't matter. If you are a weaker character, whether you're, let's say the Dama is weak, right? Which she's clearly not. They're making her strong. Where does she get her power from? Does she know people? Does she have, like Alpha? Alpha was tough and ruthless, but she had Beta. I don't know if she would be that threatening if she didn't have Beta. A big, strong, tall man. Now it could have been reversed. It could have been a man that's weaker and then a tough woman. But you need to have the weak and the strong balance out, like the weak person there. So I just think I don't know the agenda of Gimple, the showrunners, the writers. I don't know if they're trying to force it to be like, okay, we have a woman in power now. That's what our writing is going to be. I don't know if people do that. They could, for sure. But I don't know if that's the whole thing or not. But right now, I think it's okay. The Dama definitely needs to be explained, and so does the Marshals lady. How do they have their power? And if it's not explained, then we could be like, it seems a little too forced. But it is what it is. There's just nothing we can do about it either, too. So, but I like, yeah, exactly. So Wilson says, I found it bizarre that there was practically no security at the Dama's place. Well, I guess all those people in the theater was the security, right? But when the Croat went in, nobody was at the front door. So walkers, people, whatever, like there's just not. And now it's the Dama talked about Harlem and the other boroughs. Other people are there too. So there's different factions of people. So I don't know if that could be, it just needs to be explained more too, Victoria, this sounds like a good comment. There is nothing more intimidating for a man than an intelligent woman. And that is the problem in the Walking Dead universe. The women does not need to be Sarah Connor or Lara Croft to be a badass, in my humble opinion. That's true, and that's in life, and that's in anything, too. But in a zombie apocalypse, there's stuff that kind of has to be like, you kind of have to show your physical badassness or your physical prowess somewhat, too, because people judge a book by its cover. It's a comic book. They judge it by its cover, literally. Will you pick it up based on the cover? So you have to put on a show like Ezekiel. You have to put on a thing like this. Now, Ezekiel could have been a woman. It could have been a trainer for the tigers, right? Because she could have been a zookeeper. That would have fit, but it was a man. That role could have been reversed in the comics. Alexandria is a guy, Reg, instead of Deanna. It's different. They flipped it for the show. I like the differences. I like the different things there too. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, I can buy into it when it's put in front of us if it makes sense, but I don't like myself. I don't look at people as man, woman, black, white, Asian, Latin, Spanish, whatever. I just see them as a person first and foremost, and then after that, who are they? Are they nice? Are they mean? Are they, we'll just say that. Or are they, and then we go from there. But that's not how the world works. I'm a realist for that. But, I wish more people did from time to time. So you don't have to like everybody, in my opinion. But don't judge someone based on minor things. Like there's a couple people said, what happened to this channel? After I made the video about talking about the women of The Walking Dead. And to me, that's a rude, stupid comment, right? I think it's someone that looked at the thumbnail and was like, what happened to this channel? Being like a dick. I don't know, a rude person, right? So I'm like, wow, you're going to judge me based on this one video? I have over 4,000 videos on YouTube. So I don't think it's fair to judge someone by one video, whether it's good or bad, whether you like it based on the one video or not. But people do, and they always will. And that's the way it is. But, you know, it's kind of interesting. And I thought it was a good topic. And I like to talk about things here. Because, again, this is a discussion channel, a community channel. We like to have fun here. We like to discuss a lot of things. Of course, the Walking Dead universe, but other shows, movies. The other movie I watch, I definitely want to talk about is The Flash. So my wife and I watched The Flash. I thought it was okay. I loved Michael Keaton as Batman. I love Michael Keaton as Batman in the first 2 Batman movies. And it was the best part for me. I thought Ezra Miller did a good job at The Flash, and the story was okay, but it was interesting. The DC movies are what they are, but I thought if you like DC and you like that stuff, you definitely should check out The Flash. I don't know if people watch The Flash. I know people are watching Barbie and people are watching, Oppenheimer and stuff like that too. But what about other movies? Or is anybody? I didn't see it, but has anybody watched Mission Impossible, the latest one here? Carol, thank you for the super chat. No question today. Just keep up the good work, brother. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. You're amazing. Hopefully, Carol, you enjoy the Fight For Us series and you like the character of Lot. I'm halfway through reset of my edit, and then my wife has 6 chapters left. And hopefully she'll read 2 more chapters today. And then next weekend, because she reads 2 chapters Saturday and 2 chapters Sunday, if it's a good weekend and we got nothing going on or whatever. So I'm hoping that she can read that. And she'll be done with it next weekend. And then I'll put the pedal to the metal and have it done in August. And so Reset should hopefully, the plan is to have Reset in August. And I'm excited for that because that's book 19. And then I got to get on to book 20. That's for sure. I'm not trying to rush book 20, but I'm excited to get to it because I don't want to give too much away. But I definitely want to have that for early next year for sure. But book 19 is first, and that'll be titled Reset, hopefully in August. And thank you, Carol. The super chats are always welcome. You don't have to do them by any means, but the money comes back to the channel. So I have the time to continue with this. And, easy ways to support the channel is to, have a super chat like Carol did, to like the videos, share the videos. And also, if not just my channel, but any channel, if when ads come up, that's how the people make money for their videos, besides having promotions and sponsors and all that stuff, which I don't have any. But if an ad comes up and you watch all of it, you don't skip it, that revenue comes to the channel. And so if you can do that for channels you like, I know myself and other channels will appreciate that because the ad revenue comes to the channel. And that's probably the biggest way most creators and channels make money. So if you and some of the ads are really long, they're 5-6 minutes or 2-3 minutes, or there's 2 ads and it's this and that, it's too long. You're I ain't got time for that, I'm skipping that stuff. But just that's one of the easiest ways to do that. And then also watching the entire video helps people. I guess it helps people watch the video. It helps YouTube promote the video more, or helps their algorithm, I guess, is what it is. So liking the video, subscribing, sharing the video, watching the video all the way through, and then with the ads as well. That's just the easiest ways to do it, and it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't do that too. So let me see any other questions. Zenith Q&A: should Rick have cut Daryl's arm off after he escapes the sanctuary? He jeopardized all 3 communities. So it would have been no. I mean. But the whole thing was we wanted to have Daryl back with the group. I don't think that was going to do anything. That's the season 7 writing is kind of crazy with stuff. It's just something that like they forced it with capturing Daryl and then Rick being kind of a wuss and being helpless until the very end where they get together, and then the war was kind of a bore and they really didn't do a lot of things right. I don't know. It's just rough to watch season 7 on there too. And so all I recommend if you're going to watch season 7 is watch the first episode, which is amazing. It's one of the best episodes and also one of the worst. We know why, because Negan kills 2 beloved characters, but it's still great acting. It's a good, you buy into the lineup and you feel really terrible watching who Negan picks, and you just feel for it. And then watch the final episode when they decide to go to war with them, and Ezekiel and Shiva and everybody saves the day too. So, Brian, have you noticed pretty much every female leader from the franchise has been bad? What do you mean? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Deanna wasn't bad. Or how do you mean bad? Do you mean as like a villain? Do you mean as like a bad leader? I don't know, because I don't know how you mean bad, because there's been a lot of terrible leaders. Like some would say that Negan was a good leader, but also a bad leader. Rick was a bad leader. Deanna didn't really know what was going on. They were getting lucky. Ginny was terrible. Madison, not a big fan. But I'd say Maggie was pretty good at Hilltop. No? And it's like when we see them, bad stuff happens. Between seasons or time jumps, like they had a lot of good stuff that was good that they survived too. Like I don't know. Zenith Q&A. All right, Brian. Out after Daryl popped open Sanctuary and let Negan escape, and then drove Rick to a supposed death with Maggie and the Oceanside Brats. Yeah, again, I don't know. Like, I mean, there was a lot of things going on that were just questionable, and yeah, I mean, but Maggie left because she left the show. Lauren Cohan, left the show, so then Maggie had to leave, so the writing had to be there. So, yeah, I mean, they had to, so they could, were they just going to have Maggie not be seen, but she's the leader for a long time? And then when they were running Hilltop, like, that's a good, Lindsay says, Tara wasn't bad. So whoever was running Hilltop when Maggie was away, were they bad? I don't know. I don't think so, right? I think so. I mean, I think the leadership is questionable across the Walking Dead universe because they have to be like considered everyday people, and the military is really not involved in the universe. And there's so many people that were just like, didn't do anything major besides Rick beforehand. Like Ezekiel was a zookeeper, but he's running a whole community. And Negan was a gym teacher, and then he's running a community. Like Pamela Milton was a political official, so you kind of saw she was terrible, but Commonwealth did pretty good until our group showed. It's basically a lot of the groups were doing great until our group showed up. That's kind of what they love to do, where a group gets involved and then everything falls to pieces. Like Alexandria was great until our group showed up, right? So you're like, what the heck was going on with that? Right. So it's good discussion, but again, the writing is what the writing is for there too, and people making bad decisions. Like, so the Whispers were doing great until Negan showed up there, and Alpha trusted Negan, and then Negan kills Alpha and caused the problem. So it's like, but it's just a lot of questions there too. But that's the story, that's what happens with the writing, and people need to make mistakes, and people. It's just a fun thing that we see where it is. So next week will be August. We got Some of those shows I told you about are coming to Netflix, like the Untold story about the Florida Gators. I think there's a Jake Paul Untold story. There's a story about Johnny Manziel coming out on different things on Netflix. The Witcher, the last episodes with Henry Cavill as The Witcher is on Netflix now. Twisted Metal's out now. All those episodes are up. And yeah, so a lot of stuff's coming out. Anything in August that you recommend that's coming out that you guys recommend, shows or movies wise? I always like to have that too, because I always recommend stuff that I like, and I trust people. Like my one friend, I say this all the time. My one friend, I used to go to the movies with him like almost every week, growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, and driving to movie theaters was kind of how you did things before streaming and stuff. And he would love all the movies. People were like, how's the movie? Oh, it was good. It was okay, but the cinematography was great. It was all right, but he would always like say the positive thing. And some of the movies sucked. I saw the movies that he's saying were good, and I thought they were terrible. Like, what are you talking about? Stop saying every movie is good, or trying to paint every picture is a good picture of this movie. Every movie you see is not always good. And so any recommendations are always out there too. The Twisted Metal show is okay. It's a cheesy, campy, over the top. Like, they have guns and big machine guns on cars and bombs and stuff, and that's what happens. In the video game, you have machine guns and bombs and special weapons and special techniques and stuff like that too. So they would do things for the character. Yeah, if you're the police car or the truck or the ice cream truck or whatever, you would have different abilities. But Anthony Mackie's driving around in this car and is getting shot at all over the place, and there's no bullet holes anywhere in the car. And you're like, what? That would definitely not be happening there too. So last question here, Slizzle 2290. Do you think Alpha looked silly trusting Negan? I mean, trusting him so much, yeah. I mean, he's a new person. Like, we don't. When people trust people too much, or they don't trust them enough, it's kind of annoying, where it's a little too much. But for the sake of expediting the story, I guess it was what it was too. So, Brian Alcom says, "Hey, Brian, did you see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? Recommend it." I saw it. I like Puss in Boots. I like that character. It's an okay movie. I like Puss in Boots and Shrek because they connect the dots with nursery rhymes and stuff there too, and they did that again in The Last Wish, and I thought it was pretty good with Goldilocks and the Three Bears and stuff on there too. So it's a good movie, and I think Puss in Boots and Kitty Softpaws is an interesting thing interesting movie, and if you like the other movies, I think you'll enjoy it too. And Antonio Banderas does a great job. So, all right, guys, that's my time. I'll be back next Sunday for our live stream. If I find out any news or information, it's probably going to be slow coming because of the strikes, the actor strike and the writer strike. So I don't know what's going to happen with the production of the Daryl show for season 2. But if we get any other production news or photos or stuff on there too, we will break it down for you. But let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Stay safe. And as always, tell them that keep working hard, guys. I'll be back next Sunday for our hour-long live stream. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys. See ya.